It's the morning after Hurricane Helene went through. It is September 27th, 2024. I'm leaving Tigertail right now, but I'm going to fly the entire beach from north to south. I'm leaving the Tigertail Lagoon, as you can see. You can see some sand here on the left. That's pretty much the tip of Tigertail, where the berm would start and go into Sand Dollar Island. I'm starting here and flying north first just to show where the most significant amount of uh, damage was because of the storm coming through. And you can see this is where the berm was. I'm sure the berm is still down under there, but this is just about 30 minutes after high tide this morning. And as we approach Sand Dollar Island, there was already a cut in there from Debbie, the storm that went through about almost a month ago. There was a small cut, but now at high tide, you can see it's pretty well washed over. As you take a look at this, I'll tell you that my buddy Neil and I went out this morning with the intent of flying the entire beach from north to south, and we had to go to numerous beach access points in order to make that happen, just due to the FAA rules for drone flights. I am an FAA certified drone operator and have been since 2016, so I like to follow all the rules. And the line of sight rule is one of the big ones. So we had to go to numerous spots on the beach and go through the access points in order to make this complete video. So when you see the jump cuts, that's because we've done that. So as we approach the Hideaway Beach, you can kind of see how much of an effect the high water had there. So now I start the complete north to south transition. What I was trying to accomplish here was just get a little bit of the surf, but mostly of the sand. And I'm flying at about 175 feet, and you can see all the water. This is Sand Dollar Island, and then it will trail off here to the right to where that first cut happened during Debbie. And you saw some pictures maybe on some of the Marco Island Facebook sites of that earlier in the week. But obviously, Helene came through and has done quite a bit more damage. You can take a look up in the upper left-hand corner and see how much the water approached Hideaway Beach as well. And right here, almost looks like it got really close to the houses, but I don't think it actually did. So now I'm just taking a backward shot again. I've got some duplication here of the damage at Sand Dollar Island and Tigertail Beach, but as soon as we back up here, we're going to start flying the entire course. I'll go across Tigertail Lagoon and show you how high that was. And then we'll start at the South Seas condos and go south. If you have the ability, I would encourage you to watch this on the biggest screen possible, maybe project it or cast it onto your TV at home. This is 4K video and it's really impressive on the big screen. It also allows you to see a lot more detail than you would if you were just on your phone. I'm definitely not an environmental expert, but it looks like the entire berm has been washed over, and maybe at low tide, I can get back out there and take some more video and we'll see how much of that berm is actually left. So again, here's the point of Tigertail Lagoon, the entrance and exit. You can see the beach. Everybody who's walked that knows those trees down there. But as we approach Tigertail Lagoon, I'm actually in the observation deck on the left side of the screen. Neil and I are. But the lagoon this morning was pretty full. So full where you probably wouldn't have wanted to walk across that, but the water was up about halfway up the benches there by the edge of the lagoon, near where you can start climbing up into the observation tower. So we're going south, obviously, and we're gonna hit the South Seas Towers, and you'll see a lot of accumulation of water on the left-hand side of the beach, closest to the buildings, then with sort of some high ground in the center, and then you'll see some remnants of the tide. And later we're going to see the two different tide lines, the one from last night at about 11:30 p.m. when the surge came in and most of Marco had its highest water, and then you'll see the tide line from this morning. Now we start the trek south from this viewpoint, and I'm pretty much going to go all the way down the beach looking at it just like this. At the end I've got another view for you, but you can see how the water came up, and a lot of times when it rains hard you'll see puddling like this as well. But you can see that dark tide line of the debris there in towards the bottom of the screen. That's from this morning's high tide, which is about 9 o'clock ish. And then you can look up, and just a little bit further up you'll see the dark line, and that is from the tide line and the debris from last night when we had the surge. Throughout the video, I'm flying at about 20 miles an hour. The winds are probably blowing 15 to 20 out there, so I was fighting the wind just a little bit, but you can see the drone does a fantastic job of stabilizing everything. So in order to maintain 20 miles an hour so that the video looked consistent, I was letting on the stick, off the stick, on the stick, off the stick. Kind of made it interesting. But overall, I think the video came out well, and it doesn't take too long to get all the way down the beach. So you look here, you can see the Gulf View Tower, the one that they're sandblasting and painting, which looks fantastic. And this is Residence Beach here. Now, if you look up by the tikis, you can see the tide line up there, and it pushed quite a bit of sand up there, I thought, but didn't quite get to the walkway to the pavilion there at Residence Beach. The tide line gets a little darker here from this morning, and I'm sure at some point that'll get cleaned up. But to be honest, I'm not quite sure if we're still in turtle season or not, and I don't believe they're doing any raking or screening of the beach during turtle season. So one of the reasons why I'm staying offshore and I don't really go over the sand much is because of the rule of not flying over people. And you can still see there's some people on the beach, and so just to avoid them, I stayed out just off the coastline and looking back. It rained this morning from about maybe 9 to 9:15. Here you can see a lot of puddling as we approach the JW Marriott, but everything did look to be intact. As you go further down towards South Beach, there was even more people on the beach, but they were cleaning things up as best they could, setting things up. I didn't see a whole lot of chairs in front of the resorts this morning, but again, this is just the morning after. We're past the JW, but I really couldn't see a second tide line from last night, so they must have raked that up maybe by hand, but you can still see the tide line from this morning. At Residence Beach, the sand was almost like quicksand, walking all the way from that high tide line from last night near the walkway, all the way out to the beach, the shoreline. It was really mushy and really a wet sand. You sunk down into it. It was almost like quicksand, but you'd stop after about 2 or 3 inches. Got another transition coming up. And again, this is to access the entire beach from the multiple beach access points. Coming up, we've got some chairs and umbrellas out finally. As you go towards South Beach, there was quite a few more people, and actually the sun started coming out down there. But I didn't see very many people in the water. Some people were walking just in the white water there at the edge, but I don't know that I saw anybody in the water. And the surfers from yesterday were gone, so maybe the waves aren't quite as good as they were yesterday for them. I'll put some chapters in the description of this video so that if you want to just skip ahead, there should be a break in the red line on the play line for the YouTube video. And I'll try to mark those with each section of the beach. So if you want to skip ahead and not have to watch the whole thing, please do so. As the Apollo comes into view, you can start seeing more people, and Neil and I are right there at their grass line, flying this thing south. There were people laying out, sunning themselves. Really nobody too far in the water. There were some people trying to fish. That was really about the activity I saw down there. Unless, of course, we're talking about the shellers, and there were a lot of shellers out this morning. Now, as we get towards Cape Marco, you'll be able to see the new rocks that they put in front, and that was as a result of one of their last storms that hit that. But the water's hitting it pretty good. You can see there it's coming up. So I imagine it got pretty high on those rocks last night, but I couldn't really see any damage other than that. And the jetties are mostly covered, but you can see the end here. So right now, that part where the jetty goes into Cape Marco, usually that is covered, but it looks like there's enough sand pushed up there now to where you can almost get past that first jetty there. The second jetty over here coming up in the middle of the screen, you can't see any of the beach after that. And just to illustrate that the sun does come out, you can see I'm taking a run down the beach here, staying just off the water line. And I'll make this run all the way down to the JW Marriott if you want to watch that. But it almost looks like a typical day on Marco Island in the middle of summer with few people on the beach. But this is the day after Helene, and for the most part, other than the Tiger Tail and Sand Dollar Island area, I would say the beach fared pretty well. It'll take a number of days before the water clears up, get all the sediment out that's gotten churned up by the storm, and then we'll be back to normal. I hope you found this video interesting and informative, and I'll see you in the next one.